Hey, I'm Roland, and we're here at OPPO in Barcelona, MWC time. We're looking at the new OPPO flagship that hasn't had its name mentioned, at least not officially. And what this is the first phone that has a 10 times optical zoom feature. And the way they're doing it is basically they're taking a prism and they put it behind this glass up there. Let me try and turn up my light so you can see it. One second, and there you go. So that right there, the top ones are your tele lens plus, or your ultra wide angle, and your main sensor, which is just a wide angle lens. And the one at the bottom is actually a prism, so it's not a round or like the usual lens in there. That stuff happens after this prism, but the light first travels through this prism, then basically makes a turn downwards, I guess, and then hits another two or three or five lenses. I think it's five lenses, and then only hits the sensor or the image sensor that is in there. They haven't really talked about the resolution, but what they're doing is basically they're combining these three sensors, and through that they're realizing that 10 times optical zoom. So you start out with the ultra wide angle, which is in this case the one time zoom or the base zoom, and then you hit a slider, and then it goes up in resolution, or at least in the zoom level. So let's try and do that over here. So we have the setup over there, which has kind of a city scene. Basically, it's like a train station, and then you just hit this button right here, and then it moves, and you can see that in the standard setting, it's very, very wide angle. So I'm thinking this is the 120-degree wide angle lens, and then you hit the slider, and the closer you move, you'll see that the image quality tends to change a little. Let's just move straight up to the 8 times optical zoom, and then you'll see that at this point there's basically like the small jump in picture quality right here, just around the 8 times zoom level, basically, where there's a jump in the quality, and that's basically where it's switching from the sensors, or switching between the sensors to get closer to the object. So as of the 8 times zoom mark, it's basically using that 10 times zoom mechanism that's in the back here, and it's basically just a very simple setup. So they're taking the light, letting it travel through the prism, and then hit the sensor down here at the bottom, which is basically around here. So the main sensor on this device, which is not the one with the prism, is a 48 megapixel sensor from Sony. That's the IMX586, and there's another 4 cameras in here. I've seen they're all Sony sensors except for one, which is a 13 megapixel Sony sensor. Plus, there's the other ones are the IMX475, 471, IMX519, and 319. So there's an 8 megapixel, two 16 megapixel, a 48 megapixel, and another 13 megapixel sensor in this device. So that's a lot of megapixels in just one phone. Otherwise, spec-wise, this is likely a very high-end device. It seems to be an OLED panel in here, because I don't really know if it is, because they haven't really talked about the phone itself. But what I can tell you is that it looks like a 6.4-inch device, and it also runs the Snapdragon 855. There's 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of flash storage. And overall, it's a pretty well-equipped device. I think there's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery in here, but I'm not fully sure on that yet. But it looks pretty nice. It has the typical OPPO design. So basically, over here on the back, you can also already see the final design, or the look of the final design. There will be a glass cover on here. Under there's plastic cover, which is right now fully non-flexible, and it's on here. We can take it off. There's basically a glass cover, I believe, and adding to that is the usual metal frame. Over here you have the power button. There should be a fingerprint reader somewhere. I think it's in screen, as you would expect. There's a kind of small bezel down here, but it's still visible. The casing right now kind of hides the fact that there's a pretty good bezel down there. And it runs Android 9.0 Pie in this case, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You have the volume rockers over here, separate buttons for that. No headset jack. Up here is only a noise cancelling microphone, and at the bottom is one speaker plus your USB-C port, and that over here seems to be pretty much nothing except for some place where they will probably have internal stickers on or whatever there is. I think there's two cameras on the front, 3 on the back, and then that is basically the new OPPO flagship with super zoom feature launching here at MWC, or it's not launching here, they're launching it in Q2. This right here is all about the camera tech.